first of all, it's much easier to do other than marry another woman. We live in a society where it's convenient, right? You have girlfriends, they have mistresses, they got sugar daddies, zaddies, they got all that, all over the place. It's common. Salaam alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Nadir.
Salaam alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Fatima.
And we are two of the three founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as the authors of Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. With that being said, you know what? There's a lot of myths, especially when it comes to polygyny. For those of you who do not know our story, at least, I practice polygyny. So that means I have two wives. I've been married to Coach Fatima for over 26 years now, okay? And been married to Coach Nyla about a dozen years. So that means we already have 15 years in marriage and monogamy, and then I chose to practice polygyny. Hence comes a whole lot of myths and stereotypes and questions about those who are single, those who are married, those who are initial first wives, those or whatever, and we understand. All right, we had to deal with a lot of those as well. What would be some of the questions, concerns, assumptions? Usually there are a bunch of assumptions that go along with it.
Oh, the biggest one I've experienced or heard was that my husband doesn't love me anymore, or I did something wrong. That's another big one.
Could you relate to any of that? Did you ever feel like that? Just thinking about the polygyny thing and different ways people.
I did. I was like, okay, first of all, I said, in those moments where you're by yourself, in those really honest moments, you start going, okay, he must not love me that much anymore, if at all, and I must have did something wrong. There must be something going on.
We'd like to interrupt this video to let you guys know to make sure you are registered for the Women's Polygyny Masterclass. Yes, it's our 4-part Polygyny Masterclass with your coaches, Coach Nyla
and Coach Fatima.
And we are going to talk about different things in preparing and thriving and growing in polygyny.
Yeah, and your co-wife connection. Everybody asks us, so we're going to go there. We're going to talk about all those things. We really hope you guys join us.
So make sure you click the link in the description and don't forget to register. We'll see you soon. I'll let you get back to the video.
And I felt a way because I was like, he could have said something if I did something wrong. He had to be this drastic with it, because it feels like a punishment. It feels like a punishment. Initially, it's like he doesn't love me. I did something wrong. Now he's punishing me, and then you get mad. You get really mad. You get mad. You get sad. You experience all these different feelings. So initially, it's this unrealistic feeling that you're not loved or you're not valued, and so it's horrible.
The faucet of love is cut off. It's over. No more whack handles. It's over. So. And we understand that, we joking about it and talking about it now because we've been through a lot of the plethora of emotions and stuff like that, as we talk about, of course, in our many videos, if you're part of that, or if you're part of our students or clients and our coaches or in our coaching or counseling. But the emotions and things are real. The challenge comes in to understanding the difference between emotions and feelings, because no one can say that what you feel is not real. Whatever you're feeling for you is absolutely real. Now, whether or not it makes sense or if it's related to the reality of a situation, or what people say my truth is and all that kind of stuff, that's subjective. Okay, that's subjective because we give meaning to our emotions. So an individual can feel anxiety or be anxious about something. And for them, they'll turn that meaning in, this is time for me to go, put on the show, do the thing. Entertainers, for example, they get nervous beforehand, hands might start sweating. They're going into a job interview, for example, or you want to propose to somebody or you have a sit down, whatever. You get nervous, right? But the meaning they assign to it then determines their feeling.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do this, and you're talking down to yourself and speaking negative, those negative feelings and how you feel in your energy is going to portray that. Where the other person like, okay, it's the time to shine. It's the time to wait for my whole life. I'm kind of preparing for it. Still nervous, same emotion, same anxiety, same anxiousness, if you will, but assigning a different meaning to it. So I'm going to jump in at this part and say that's a common thing. And I think it's a common thing for women to feel in general, because we're raised in society where, I'm every woman, you do this for everybody and Superwoman and all that stuff. If you're from that time with Karen White, and I could do it all and I could have everything and everything else, therefore, there's no, a man is not going to marry someone else. Well, even if they consider marrying someone else, we live in a society that looks down upon that anyway, but not going to cheat on me or do it. Not going to desire another woman in any form or fashion, period. That's the myth that we have.
Yeah,
okay?
I didn't have that.
Well, that's the whole myth that if he's with me, he ain't gonna marry somebody else. That's like...
Well, yeah, but the desire for another wife was not ever in my mind. I was like, he would almost be a little off if he didn't want that, knowing what I know of him. Not to say that all men are that way, but I just felt like he's gonna want to. Hope he don't, but he's gonna want to.
So that's, I wasn't aware of that.
No, I did, because we're Muslim. So I said, why wouldn't he? I didn't tell anybody, but I said, why wouldn't
Muslims with any additional wives and all that kind of stuff? I mean,
what I learned. We didn't, but what I learned, one of the sisters that actually taught me how to wrap my kimar, and then I kind of, did my own thing with it. I didn't realize that at the time in which I knew her, she was going to marry as a subsequent wife. I knew she was like on the phone, and I'm like, what's going on? She kind of talked different on the phone. I'm like, who's she talking to? She's not married, but she was getting her stuff organized so that she's talking to her wali or her wakil. She was talking to him, getting herself situated for the subsequent marriage, and I didn't know. But she told me, and then I was like, uh-oh. That was the first time I had been like sitting with polygyny. So I thought as a young wife, and I was like, oh, this is real, So then, and then I started saying to myself, I'm like, well, he might want to do it. And then I didn't speak it to anyone because, I just didn't.
To have that conversation. But again, even at that time, way back then, I wasn't interested. I didn't know anything about that. Yeah. But on to that whole myth is that, okay, this person must not love me anymore or did something wrong and all that kind of stuff. That's to not sound condescending. To me, I would just say that's just foolish. It doesn't make any sense. All right. But I'm coming from my logical area. Like, first of all, it's much easier to do other than marry another woman. We live in a society where it's convenient, right? You have girlfriends, they have mistresses, they got sugar daddies, zaddies, they got all that, all over the place. It's common. You know what I'm saying? It's common, right? You got new names for it. You got songs for it, buddy, with music, you know what I'm saying? So these type of things are well known. You got, even this ain't new, you know what I mean? Whether you're talking about Papa was a Rolling Stone.
At all.
So there's unwritten rules. There are people and relatives, and as long as the money come home, or as long as he doesn't bring this, all these types of things have been around our society, which makes it far easier to participate and do something that's immoral than it is for someone to marry another. So when we get to that point of marriage, one, that's something that's honorable, that's something that's noble.
Yeah.
And we also speak about love as being expansive and not constrictive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
So first, I'm winning to begin with. You know what I'm saying? I married somebody I knew I was going to marry when I saw her. I didn't know how or anything like that, but I was like, I'm going to marry her. 5 years later, after speaking it into existence and all this type of stuff in teenage years, it happened. So I'm already winning. beautiful wife, beautiful family, all of these things, growing and expanding in knowledge and everything else. I wasn't losing at all, you know, but we're not designed to just take an easy path. You know, sometimes when it comes to polygyny or marriage in general, it's like, oh, well, polygyny, that's a harder thing. It's hard to do and this and that, and to deal with this stuff. At what point did we think that life was just going to be easy and about easy decisions and only taking the easy path? If that was the case, would you even get married at all? People tell you, yeah, it's going to be ups and downs. You're going to have challenges and arguments and all of that stuff in traditional monogamy. And you do.
Oh, yeah, you do. Sure you do.
But does that mean don't do it? You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, you know, having children is difficult. Birthing children and all that stuff is difficult. Making them is different. You know what I'm saying? That's the easy part. But birthing children, birthing more than one child on top of it, that's not easy. You know, and I've never experienced childbirth, but I've been there for each birth of my children. That's not easy, but the reward that comes from it is different. See, as a man and as a husband, I have different responsibility towards my family, because then the other question is, well, you didn't think about your wife's feelings and da-da-da. No, I actually thought about my wife's feelings quite a bit. Quite a bit. But feelings, here's the thing though, and of course that's another one of the myths and assumptions. Oh no, you don't think you just go ahead and just do, but she's never known me not to consider her or my family first, even before myself.
I'd never thought that he's just never been like a reckless person. So I had no reason to believe he was being reckless in that time. I thought he did, but not, you know, it's kind of like I think about her feelings, but at the same time, you're sitting in your own decision to make this choice to marry again.
Right.
So it's like I didn't think he was void of thinking of me at all, because you would have to think about your wife and your children and how this is going to impact them moving forward. You would have to.
Now let's talk about that too, because this is where we differ, men and women. I'm talking about you.
Like,
men and women. She's a woman, yeah, man. We different. But this is where we differ. This is where many women think that because you have to think about the impact of the wife, because you think of the impact of the family, and you still do this, therefore, one, you didn't care about the feelings, you didn't think about the feelings. You think it was just dismissed. See, this is what I mean by this is where we're different. As a man, it's my responsibility to lead my family. It's my responsibility to have a vision for the family and to move it forward and lead the family. That's me. That's what I have to do as a man, as a husband, as the imam of my family. Right? Feelings are supposed to be felt, and they are felt. But your feelings do not make the decisions. You weigh it in, you weigh the factors and all of this stuff. You have to weigh that. But when I say you, I'm talking to the men. If you're leading your family, lead your family. Whatever your vision may be, and collective vision and shared marital identity, all this stuff is very important. But that's where the difference comes in between people assuming you didn't think about them, you didn't think about the feelings, but the feelings can't dictate my actions. I'll give an example, and we're going to take it away from marriage, right? Men have to make hard decisions all the time. They have to make decisions where they work at, how far they work away from home, what they're going to bring to the house, whether or not they're working as an employee or they're self-employed or business owners or investors or what have you, right? You have to think about these things. They also have to think about it at a base level when it's time for war. All right? Do you think the wives want the husband to go to war? You think the kids want the husband to go to war? All right? Men don't want to necessarily go to war. You'd rather have peace. But there's a time for this war and peace, right? But men have to go. They have to make that decision for honor. So, you might not like what I'm saying, and you're talking about current world conflicts. Take it back to Mulan, the movie. Right? And her father being old and everything else and not really being able to do it and everything. And, you know, it's a whole Disney movie type thing. But, you know, he still had that honor to have to go to take care of the family, do what he had to do as a protector, right?
He's a king.
That was not a decision. That was an easy decision. And if you let feelings make that decision, then you would have weak men who are not worthy of leading. So though the decisions may be unpopular, a man still should weigh it. And whether or not he can grow into that role, if he deserves the role or not. But that doesn't mean you don't take the feelings, you don't, evaluate things. You should evaluate things. You need to be logical. You need to be able to plan. So whether you want to practice polygyny now or 5 years from now, or you're just getting information on marriage and communication, all of that's important. But we differ in the fact that because she might feel a certain way about something does not determine how I make a decision. And how I might feel about something doesn't necessarily determine how She makes a decision. She could take it, he does like this, he does like me to go here, there, or smell this way, or like this, or dress this way, or buy this, whatever. But ultimately, she's gonna be the one to make that decision. And then those repercussions, if any, or rewards are gonna come from that. You know what I'm saying? So all of these different things matter, but we need to be mature enough as adults to recognize where we differ and how that plays. Because if we think, oh, now love is lost, and now what have I done wrong? Or, oh, he can't love me anymore, it's cut off. We're not really being rational. I know we're being emotional. I know it's real. But having an open and honest conversation about it, what's the goal, what's the vision for the family, how's moving forward, how are these different things. And when I was able to do that, do more of that, that would help our healing process and understand each other even better, even though we had already been married 15 years and knew each other for 20.
Well, I'm going to say something now.
Let's go.
One of the things I asked myself, because I know me the best, is it wasn't a question of, it wasn't for me, why does he not love me? Like I said to be mean. There was this I threw that out there to just, you know, because if you get me, I'm going to get you twice as hard. That's what I was about. Back then, it was like, how can he not love me because of all these things, all these attributes? That's what makes you upset, because you know what you've been. And it was like this thing, like, how can he not? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then because of the how can he not, like, what's wrong with him? Because I've been this way, because my stats been pretty good thus far. And so, and for him, this was my thought process. And before they start saying king behavior, you know, our daughter always says, if her dad does something and she loves it, she'll go, king behavior, king behavior. She says it all the time, and I love her for it, because she's recognizing his efforts. But for me, he had king behavior before they called it that, right? So I said, now, if he's this way, how much time? When I'm being realistic, when an initial wife or even a subsequent wife, depending on how many wives a brother has, is it being honest? I started doing math. I got real intimate with doing math and time. So I said, okay, it's been this many years. We're at the 10-year mark. We're at the 15-year mark. Little did I know, my good sir had already gotten married. But I said, how much more time did he have to practice polygyny? We don't know, because we don't know how much time we have to live. So I said, if he does, and he's this old right now, how much more time? So I had to be very selfless with time, because I didn't own it. And I didn't own his life. And I didn't own his ability to say, I want to marry again. Right? So I had to be really realistic about it. I said, now, if he's going to do it, and I'm in his shoes, I got to go, how much time is left? I can't go, well, you know, I'll be down with it in another 10 years. And we're already at the 15-year mark. No, I don't get to say that, though, because he can't say, I'll be here in another 20 years. I'll feel like it in another 20. What if he felt like it in the next 20 minutes or 20 days? So being an initial wife, wasn't pursuing it, but I had to pursue the thought of this could become a reality in the near future. So because I don't have the privilege of owning time, I don't own him, I don't own his life, and a lot of us have to understand that you got to let go of that control. Because to think that we do own the fact that our husbands can marry again, we don't own that decision process. We don't know what that's like. So I had to be Fatima, but at the same time, it's stepping into the world of Nadir going, okay, if I was him, and the way these years are set up, when is a good time? And if you were asking me, I probably would say never. But because I'm a wife and not a husband, I had to start asking the husband questions to myself as a wife and go, he might want to. And I don't have another 7 kids in me. I don't have another 3 kids in me. I don't have another 2 kids in me. So then he's just supposed to, and we got to have a conversation. They go, well, he just making excuses for me. This ain't no excuse. We're living in the now. We're living in the now. So if I don't have another 7 kids in me and I don't have this and I don't have that, and he wants to get another wife, another person, because I can't split myself into 2 people, and if I did, it would still be 2 Fatimas. Coach Now is not here to be Coach Fatima. And people got to understand that. So they go, well, wasn't she enough? And, you know, and oh, you think you know somebody and all that stuff. We don't have the privilege of controlling time, and we don't have the privilege of controlling our husband's decision to marry again. You can decide whether you're going to stay or whether you're going to go, but we don't have the privilege. And I'm speaking directly to my ladies, to wives. We just don't have the privilege of controlling their decision to marry again. You rewind this video, you can watch it over. I said it. It's out of my mouth. But I just had to come to grips with that fact. The time mattered so much.
Indeed. And what many women find, and you know, because of course you counsel, I mean, we hear from people all the time, is that their relationships actually get better and more intentional.
Yeah.
With their husbands, being more intentional,
Yeah.
with their wives being more intentional and now appreciating or being great. You know, it's just all these extra things that happen that didn't happen before. You know, and even if they happened before, maybe it just wasn't something that was recognized.
You know, somebody told me something, and Coach Nadir knows who it is. I call her lovingly. I call her MC. I gave her a nickname. She said to me, she said, you know what? She said, I don't even think you realize how close polygyny brought y'all. Because she saw it. Because she'd see us at eat. She'd see us out. She saw us in the car a couple times. She said, y'all just look closer, like if it was possible, because we were already known for our closeness. But she said that. She was like, dang, I don't even think, like, your co-wife, no. I was like, that y'all appear to be much closer because we had to become more, like Coach Nadir says all the time. We both had to come more, but in different ways. Different ways. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
So those are 2 myths that we want to go ahead and address right there. One is love lost, and then thinking about, you didn't think about your wife's feelings. Did you even think about it? Consider her. All caps.
He did, y'all.
All that
he did.
stuff.
I know him enough to know he did.
Yeah.
I know that.
And most men do.
Yeah, they do.
All right. But we have to weigh things and try to make the best decision with the information that we have at that time. So we're humans. It's not necessarily a right or wrong way to evaluate, but there are best practices. And of course, that's what we talk about, and it's not the topic of this video. So with that being said, what should they put in the comments to let us know y'all made it to the end? We appreciate y'all's support. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, do so, because we know that about half the people that watch our videos on a consistent basis have not subscribed. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when we go live, when we upload videos and stuff like that. So what should they say? What should they put in the comments?
What on me? How about we put, we're going to put Poly Love in the comments.
Poly Love. Pollylove. Poly for polygyny, to be specific and for clarity. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and ride out with GOC.
Make sure you're growing intentionally, loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a high level every single day. Since Coach Nile is not here, I'm not doing her part, you know. But GOC, all right, y'all. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.
Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
Make sure you guys are following us on our social medias at Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Facebook, and on IG at Outstanding Relationships, and also Clubhouse under our names.
And make sure you go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and sign up for our email list. And there you will get updates on our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored.
Absolutely. And last but not least, when it comes to coaching or counseling, if you want to work with us one-on-one or in group settings, make sure you're on that website and reach out to us, because we do have very limited spots and we usually have a wait list. So with that being said, GOC.
Make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.